What's up, fam? Gonna go over pretty much the first time I got into yoga, and I was living in Columbus, Ohio, having a good time working at Victoria's Secret, doing point of sale support with Bath and Body Works also, and I had the opportunity at least to join this retail residency program. So it's a program for recent college graduates, and we had the opportunity, and also MBA graduates, and so it's just a retail crash course, 30 days crash course. If you happen to be a merchant or someone working actually more in the fashion industry, then you have the opportunity to do almost like a 3 to 6 or 9 month type of immersion and training, which is super awesome. There's about 40 of us. I was the only person, aside from one other person, in the IT area, and I was the only person, at least from Columbus. He was coming from, was it New York? But super grateful. During my first 2-day training, I met someone that was in HR, and she told me about the organization's, training for these people, and I had the opportunity at least to ask my manager. My manager gave me the go-ahead, and then bing, bada, boom. Next thing you know, I'm learning a lot more than I would have learned just from being in my IT role. Less incubated, but awesome time. Like, we did plenty of philanthropy stuff at the Wexner Medical Center down in Columbus. We did a lot of leadership speaks, so having to do like open dialogue with a lot of the upper management, directors, listening to the CEO, which was really awesome. And then also just going to do like some field trip type of exercises. Like, we went to the Wexner Medical Center, made some hats out of cloth for the cancer patients, and we also made some tissue paper type flowers and other things just to lift their morale up, figure out, it's awesome to have an international organization, but how are you actually able to give back to your community? So that was really rewarding. And then we also had this one exercise where we were split up into groups of like 3 or 4, and they're like, all right, each group has a different set of stores, 3 stores to choose, or at least to go to, and almost like a scavenger hunt. So it's like you go to the store, and one of the great things, you learn from the Wexner Medicals or Wexner's just retail residency program is that he himself, like top-down knowledge, like everyone's aligned. It's just like, the stores are extremely crucial. So it's like starts with the real estate. Where's the store going to be located? Foot traffic, the community. And then next thing go to is, picking a store location within that, real estate, and then figuring out where's the most foot traffic. And you can see that by just sitting outside the store. So they say, sit outside the store, see how customers walk up to the store. If they walk by, what are they looking at? What's actually engaging them? And then from there, you can start to stand in the actual doorway of the store, and you're just like, all right, we've got this main table, main centerpiece, eye catcher with all of our hot deals or our latest items. And that's like our main bread basket money maker, which, draws people in. And then from there allows them to deviate in the store and find more products, more merchandise, and gain better experience. So aside from the layout, the real estate, you get into, then the actual customers engaging with the store associates. So it's like when you walk into a store, it feels great when you have a customer, directly engage with the store associate. The store associate's like, hey, how's your day going? Creating, a little rapport versus, completely disregarding them or profiling them. It's quite an experience when you think about like going into maybe a McDonald's compared to an In-N-Out, or a McDonald's compared to like a Chick-fil-A. And nothing against McDonald's, but it's just like a lot more franchise, and they've got different goals, So one of the stores I had was Sur La Table, and then I had Lululemon, and then another store. But in general, it feels great when store associates are really engaging with you, and they're almost like a best friend. So I had the opportunity at least to, go into Lululemon for the first time, and like the men's section is probably like this 6 feet wide, your arm span. So not really much to look at. So at that point, just looking around, start talking to some of the store associates who engaged me. And I was just like, all right, what's this yoga stuff? I see a bunch of yoga pants. What's the hype all about? At the time, I was going to LA Fitness, about twice a day, taking supplements, not really gawking at myself in the mirror, but more or less just tired of looking at like all these trainers that aren't actually training people, and they themselves don't even look like they train themselves. So I was just, really just sick and tired of just that whole gym life, and I was ready for anything new. So I asked the store associate who was helping me out. I was looking at one of these pairs of pants, and they're like shorts, and on the tag it said for hockey butts, especially, aside from being durable. What is it? Like microfibers, so it's antibacterial. So I'm like, all right, what does this hockey butt thing mean? And she's like, oh, obviously most of our customers, being a Canadian brand, are hockey players, at least for the guys. So usually hockey players tend to have larger glutes, and it makes sense. So I was like, all right, perfect, because I got a big butt, and I could use something new, something invigorating. And for them to put it on their tag says a lot about having a little charisma and confidence also, and just also being at the forefront, trying to push the envelope of what we normally see on a tag, compared to like a Nike tag or a tag you might get from H&M. They're a lot more basic, or you go to like a Ross or something like that, where it's like second hand. But from that aspect, moved on, and I was like, all right, let me try this yoga stuff. Do you have any recommendations for some yoga studios? So she gave me a Post-it note and wrote 5 studios down. And I think the following week, I signed up for the first yoga studio, which is called Thank Yoga in Columbus. And at the time, it was owned by Josie Schweitzer, and also co-taught Babajide was another teacher there. Small studio just in the short north of Columbus, really quaint, no crazy aesthetics or anything like that. But I tried that first foundation class on a Monday at like 7 o'clock, and thing just whooped my butt. Like, played football, hockey, lacrosse, all types of sports all my life. But this was like the first time where I was just like blown away. I'm like, I thought I knew my left from my right. I thought I, had some good coordination and good balance, but it was a whole nother level, whole nother challenge, and very minimalistic from a requirement of what you need to show up, to do a practice, to do the workout. And the workout, could be about an hour. The longer classes are 90 minutes. So you really have the opportunity to get fully immersed and then also fully focused, because there's no real downtime. You're just right there on your mat. There's no walking around, there's no pulling your phone out, talking to other people. It's just internalizing, just coming back to yourself and just weeding out what's going on mentally, physically, and also just having a good time with other people doing the same thing. So that's where, you get good vulnerability, good community. And Josie had a tremendous, community there. Everyone, all types of backgrounds, and everyone was super caring, super inviting. They told me about Babajide's class, and they're like, I think it was his girlfriend, Allison, at the time. She told me about it. She's like, yeah, he's good, but he puts a little bit more core work in as a focus. So I was like, all right, that's, something I would like to challenge myself with. So even after that first class of my foundation class, I pulled Josie aside, and I was asking her if I could, try a regular class, because I think when it's your first class, there's always that hesitation of, when am I ready to get out of that beginner foundation class? And sometimes you just have to jump in there and just see what happens. Luckily, if you get a great teacher like Josie and Babajide, they're accommodating, so they can give you tremendous workout, but also make sure that you're not overstepping your boundaries and working within your limits, so that you can actually keep growing and not injure yourself. So I was tremendously grateful for that, to the point where I was going to, 2-3 yoga classes a day, doing them back to back, Josie and then Baba G Day, and then, probably like a Josie in the morning. And I did that for 6 months straight, and it's just like awesome. And my intention was, when I started like the monthly memberships after that first foundation class, I'm like, all right, I'm done with the LA Fitness. I just want to see what this yoga class does for me and go from there. And I'm just so excited because, here I am like 10, 12, 13 years later, and it's still my favorite thing. It's still, the thing that I would drop anything to help someone out, help them, get into the practice. Because playing sports all my life, you need equipment, there's tryouts, there's all kinds of little nuances that they do to categorize people. And yoga is awesome because it doesn't matter how old you are, what body shape you are, ethnic background, none of that matters, career background, none of that matters. It doesn't matter even if you're disabled. I've taught special needs children in wheelchairs, people that have caretakers, everything, everyone can benefit. If you have a breath, you can benefit from this. So grateful for that opportunity to, be in Columbus with Josie and thank yoga. And then Josie was just like a monumental community leader in general for Columbus and the Columbus yoga, community, doing a bunch of pop-up yoga with Lululemon. So it was cool. Like, those are the memories I have of, us doing yoga, on brick roads that were just sectioned off in the middle of the short north. Us doing pop-up yoga in any of the parks, Goodale Park, in the restaurants, brunch and yoga, and then dancing, salsa dancing, just so many fun nights. Some neon yoga with the, wear any type of neon, glow sticks, all that stuff, bring a DJ, and it's just like such a good vibe. And it's like, not like the hippie vibe, but it's like if they were all pot smokers and just, people that were super chill and earthy, but without any of those vices, which was the best thing. Josie was always super adamant and, empowering to the point, expressing that we don't really need anything except good practice, good intentions, mindfulness, at least throughout our days. So I'm tremendously grateful for that. And, she was able to open up her other studio, and, Baba G also taught at the Lifetime Fitness. So I would run up there, work out with him, do a shoulder workout right before his class. And then I met tons of other people, and I was able to, get other people into yoga by just seeing them in the gym locker room, or passing them by out in the weight room area. And, I was always the one who's like, yoga did so much for me to empower me. It got me, into running. So I would run to LA Fitness, which was about a mile away, but, I hated running. It was horrible, like slow. I haven't ran since, ever, because I'm like, all right, I could play hockey, skate, it's a lot easier. And even growing up, like my 1 year younger sister, she was, track star and everything like that, and she would always beat me in foot races. So I'm like, this running thing isn't for me, like being like junior high, and I've got my friends just going purposely slower just to help me out during practice. But I'm just like, yeah, this is definitely not my sport. But yoga, the vinyasa practice, the power vinyasa practice predominantly, it's just like holding your breath, working with the pose, and establishing that power by holding the pose for multiple breaths. And it just got me to really connect with my breath, to help me out more with speech, giving speeches, not getting those, like being able to suppress those jitters by understanding that, hey, I'm not really breathing, or I'm not focusing on my breath. And then I miss, a couple breaths, and then now I got to play catch up. So that's when you get that, faster heart rate, choppier breaths, shorter, choppier breaths. So I was so grateful. And also Josie, was a big runner too. So that was cool. So it's like I went from running to LA Fitness to running to the yoga studio, and then I could see the difference after the yoga class of how my legs felt, how my lungs felt, and especially when I was running home, and it was just like so empowering. It's just like it's like swimming in the water. It's like either the water's beating you up, or you're in a sense powering through and beating up the water. It's like getting in control, full sync with your body. Every step, the breath, how your shoulders are, just the whole posture, and just taking it one step at a time. And the next you're doing 1 mile, 3 miles. I did my first half marathon in Columbus in 2013 with Josie and a couple other people, which was awesome. We did a lot of 5Ks for, charity events down in Columbus, which was awesome. And it's just like sweet how empowering yoga has been, because we've been able to, expand it. So it's, it helped me tremendously, especially working in IT in the high stress environment of retail, especially, Victoria's Secret, all the summer annual sales, the holiday sales, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, pretty much in the office at like 7 o'clock on Thanksgiving night. So you don't even really have, that much of a life aside from helping out others. But, it was cool because then I got to start, teaching people how to do yoga, wherever they were, at work, at the gym, in the car, when we're just grabbing food, grabbing lunch, grabbing a happy hour, anything like that. And it's just like something that you can always go back to. You can do it anywhere, and you don't need, anything except for just mindful movement, which is super empowering. It's not a CrossFit class or anything like that. And to like for me, like running was like the last thing I ever thought I would do. I never expected to run more than a mile. Like more than a mile seemed extremely daunting. Now it's like 3 miles, and then my legs are finally warmed up. And did a bunch of, got other people into yoga, and then we would do like Spartan races, warrior races, like Halloween costume races, all kinds of things. And so that was awesome, like doing the Spartan Beast, 17 miles, and just like getting my down dogs in when I'm super tight, sitting on the side, getting some of the figure 4 hip openers just to help me get through it. And it's just like without those tools, I couldn't operate as optimal as I wanted to. So I'm tremendously grateful, and that's why, I love to teach other people. I love to help them out, no matter, my sacrifice of time or money, because, the small fraction of what I'm able to give can definitely, expand tremendously for that person. And it's just like all you need is just that one person to give you another perspective and another testimonial that it's possible, and having the possibilities, tremendously grateful. So I'm so thankful for, Victoria's Secret and Les Wexner being so expanding with learning and development for, especially for new hires. And then from there, it's just like the community in general of Columbus was awesome. The Lululemon store in Easton Town Square, right next to, the headquarters for Victoria's Secret and L Brands, they were awesome. They were extremely, I would go there on my lunch breaks and just hang out, because they were just so cool. I loved, they became my best friends, and, we'd go out, do other community events together, and just really try and empower everyone that we could. So that was super fun. And then from there, you just go to the yoga studio, you meet other people, you go to other fitness events, you meet other people. We would do acro yoga on Sundays, and it's just like, just snowballs, just like I'm getting goosebumps. There's so many people out there that you would never have the opportunity to connect with and to meet, unless you really put yourself out there and stepped out of your box. So that's one thing that I'm extremely grateful for. And, that was, how I got into yoga. And, it snowballed, 13 years later, and still doing IT work, but trying to empower as many people as possible. Always happy to give out yoga mats, and Lululemon's still my favorite yoga clothes because I would always rip my jeans at, work sitting on the desk and stuff, my Express jeans, Guess jeans, anything like that. Boom, lift a leg up, crotch is done. But these Lululemon, I could literally be in the office and then go run 3 miles and then go to yoga class and run 3 miles back, and then stuff is still perfectly intact, doesn't even smell. And it lasts forever. I still have, my first pants and whatnot. But without, Lululemon's corporate culture of community and empowering their associates, I don't think that they would have I don't think the associates would have such a good time being in the store and be as open-minded to help out other people and share their experiences, share their time, grow together essentially. So I'm extremely grateful for all these major brands that work to empower their associates, aside from, telling them what their daily tasks are. And I think that that's a, good sort of staple of, being a yogi. We're all yogis, and it's just, we're all on our own practice, all on our own journey, but we do have a lot of commonalities. So we should never, put out hate. We should always put out love. And from there, it's just, you can really change someone's life and their career. And how many people, like, I can't tell you how many people I've taught yoga to, from Cleveland to LA to Arizona. And I'm just so grateful because it's just, especially with the technology age, like, no one's really traveling as much. You really hardly ever would be meeting thousands of people every year unless you were, a speaker or anything like that. But it's like, if you're traveling anywhere in the world, you can go to a yoga studio. There's different types of yoga: Bikram, Baptiste, Hatha, Ashtanga. There's different things, different type of healing things, Reiki. You can go to some sound bowls, you can do some yin yoga. But also, you can also do all of them and just fit them into your schedule based on how you're feeling, what you're trying to achieve, and, where you are geographically. Every yoga teacher is different. The practices are all different. So don't, get caught up in like, oh, I had one bad experience, so I never want to do it again. Just, keep weeding it out, because you can find a teacher that, jives with you, speaks to you, and that is your communication style. Because everyone's got different communication styles, audio, visual, from verbiage, the dialect. Everyone sometimes has different dialect if they're not using straight up Sanskrit. But that's the best part: community, growth, empowerment, and assimilation between, just borderless essentially. So get out there, try any class. You can start simple. My favorite is definitely like a power yoga, Baptiste type of power yoga. Bikram can be a little more type A, gung-ho, but I found that, power yoga and some yin yoga, you can weave those poses in, like a Iyengar type of yoga. But for me, as like a former athlete, it's more of the Baptiste power yoga, because then it just gives me the ability to be super creative. That's another thing. It's like, I love, like Josie's classes, because they were never always the same. She might have some same sequences, but they're always different. So that's another good thing. Like, you can have a workout of the day, but sometimes they got to regurgitate stuff. And for me, when I'm teaching, I could teach 5 classes in a day, but I'm not going to teach the same class. I might hit the same muscle movements, but the sequence is going to be different. So it's just, it'd be like if you're writing music, or, music, like lyrics, or actual music instruments, and or just doing like a jam. Like we say yoga jams, but there's also like open mic nights. So it's that type of feeling, that type of good vibe that you can just feel with other people. So I get out there, have a great time, and just experience things. Like when you're traveling, just open up Mind Body app or Yelp or Google and just search for a yoga studio. They've got a lot of introductory specials, maybe like 1 week free, 2 week free, or 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 month for a super discounted rate. I encourage you to try all the yoga studios that are in your area. And every yoga studio has multiple teachers and teaching styles, so it's just good to get out there and see what resonates with you most. So it's always is the best place that you can always count on traveling anywhere in the world. So get out there, have a great time, meet new people. And the best thing is that everyone's vulnerable, everyone's working on themselves. You're not going to really go to yoga class drunk or anything like that. So you just get people raw, sweating, sometimes you might let a fart out or whatever, but just being raw and vulnerable, and with other people that are being raw and vulnerable, is just super humbling, and just really allows you to drop the veil and work on yourself, work through our thoughts, not try and be anchored by anything in the past, but have that thought of possibility, like we're showing up and we've got the opportunity to better ourselves. It's not like, oh, like like you don't want to have all these crazy expectations when you're going into a yoga class, because there's so much to think about, there's so much to do, and you want to just relax and just let it flow. As I say, like, let that shit go. And like you can I tell people, it's like I could spend all day looking at my hands, like how my hands are doing during the yoga class, or I could look at my stomach, or how my shoulders are, or how's my breath, core. There's so many little tidbits, but it's just like trying to establish a good foundation of alignment, and then from there slowly start speeding things up, with one breath, one movement, or deepening your breaths with the movements. You don't have to go at the same pace as the person next to you. Everyone's got different breaths, different body shapes, so definitely don't get caught up on the person next to you. Just connect with the teacher, listen to them. They'll tell you if you're not really going too slow or anything like that, but they'll give you options to accommodate you for where you are in your yoga practice. Because you can come into a yoga studio, there's people that have been doing it for 20 years, and you maybe have been doing it for 2 years, but you might have better form and a better flow than them. So just stay in your lane and work on you first, and then collaborate with other people after that. So appreciate you guys. Definitely go out there, try any of the local studios, have fun, and just don't get too caught up in anything of expectations, but understand that the community in general is very welcoming, empowering, and wholesome. So appreciate you guys. Much love, much love, much love. Open to any feedback, but appreciate you, and stay well. Namaste, namaste, namaste.